What's going on, YouTube? This is Country Coder. I'm welcome you back to the channel. If this is your first time here, welcome to the channel. I hope that you'll enjoy the content I have for you. Well, in today's video, I'm actually going to be showing you how to change your own tire on a motorcycle. It's one of those where I'm not really going to kind of go over how to get the tire off your motorcycle, because depending on the model and even the manufacturer, every motorcycle is a little different. I mean, yeah, I know you got your spindle axle to go through, but I mean, as far as having to get that off is very different depending on the motorcycle. So some of the tools you're going to need actually once you get the tire off to change the actual tire is going to be some tire spoons and also a valve core tool, and then after you get done, some way to to air it back up. And it also depends a little bit on whether or not your tire is actually tubeless or tubed, which on my Africa Twin, I've got tube tires, but on my Sportster, I actually have tubeless tires. So if you got a tubeless tire, then it makes it a lot easier because you're not having to be careful on tearing the inner tube whenever you're putting the tire on and off. But that's one of the downfalls about having a ADV bike, especially one of the older ones that require inner tubes. So let's get started, and I'll kind of go through it step by step on how to do it. All right, before we actually get started, I want to break in because there's something I learned while changing these two tires. It's called directional rotation. I kind of saw it whenever I got my tire done at Daytona Bike Week, where the installers actually put a little arrow where I could, it was covered up after I put the rotor back on, but they put an arrow so that they knew which way to put the tire back on. Well, on my Africa Twin, on the rear tire, I actually have a arrow engraved into the actual rim, and so I didn't have to guess at it, and I was just able to match the rim and the tire direction rotation and put it back on. Well, when I went to do the front tire, I actually found out that there was no arrow, and so it kind of took me a little bit trying to think about it. And thankfully my front tire has a left and right rotor and it's marked, and I was able to kind of just set it on the ground and kind of rotate it like it was actually going down the road, and I was able to put the actual tire on the rim correctly. If you don't do this, you will actually won't get as many miles out of the tire as you would if you have the correct direction rotation on the tire and rim together. All right, so the reason why I'm wanting to do it like this and not really kind of putting it on some type of easier surface is because I want to kind of show you that no matter whether or not you have a shop, or even when I'm doing the Trans-American Trail, if I'm out there, I'm not going to have a lot of tools as far as surface area to work with, and so I may just be just kind of sitting on the ground. And so I figured this would be a good way to show you that no matter your expertise or anything, as long as you can get the tire off, you can still change your own tires. So I just kind of want to stop a minute and just kind of reiterate what I was just talking about, because in the next couple of videos you're going to see me on a trip, and I was actually going along, not filming, and stopped at a gas station, and a gentleman kind of looked down and saw that I had a flat tire and let me know. Well, this was on a Sunday, so thankfully I had all the tools with me and I had a spare inner tube, because I ended up having to take the tire off, and there underneath the gas station awning, I was able to replace the inner tube, where it was on a Sunday, like I said. So I mean, if I didn't have the tools with me and the inner tube with me and just being able to do it myself, I'd have been stranded till Monday, and I'm not even sure where I was at if they even had a motorcycle shop. So because I was able to do it myself right then, I was able to keep on going that same day. So the first thing you're going to want to do is you're going to take your valve cap off, and inside your valve stem is actually a little valve core. Luckily on this tire, I actually have a valve tool on the end of the valve cap so that it makes it just a little easier. So the first thing you got to do is you got to get all the air out of your tire in order to get going. And that's what your valve core looks like, and so you want to make sure you don't lose it, because it is real small and easy to lose. So all right, once you get all the air out of your tire, you're actually going to use your tire spoons, and what you got to do is you got to get in here and actually start breaking the seal in order to get the tire off. So you're going to have to hold the tire right here, and then just kind of just get in there as best you can so you can get the tire tool in there. and you're going to have to kind of push down. So as you're doing it, you may have to use your other leg, and if you by yourself. Once you get one of them in there, you kind of got to keep working around till you actually pop the seal off of the tire where it's, I'll show you in just a minute what I'm talking about, but you're going to have a gap all the way around the tire. So let me work on getting this tire, the tire at least down enough to where you can see what I'm talking about on the seal. Alright, I just heard it pop. Alright, so as you can see, I finally got the seal popped. It took me about 15 minutes working with it, around it, separate different locations, but I finally got it popped. You can see how I can stick my finger in there now, and so that means it's kind of separated off of the tire, and so now I got to flip it over and kind of pop the other side and do the same thing. And I know I'm probably going to get some people saying, oh, you don't need to set it on the rim, the rotor and everything, which I understand, but when you're out on the ground and you're out in the middle of the Trans-American Trail or anywhere else, you kind of don't have a choice, if you're all by yourself. So that's what I'm fixing to do. All right, so hopefully this side doesn't take as long and isn't as hard. Yeah. All right, and once again, it didn't take me quite as long on this side as it did the other side, but once again, once you get that pop, you can kind of see where it's going to come all the way off, all the way around it. You just keep, working around it. All right, so now that I've got that off, I'm going to flip it over on the other side so I don't stay on the rotor. Right, so now that you got that, both sides popped off, you get your, your flat right here, and what you're going to do, let me get the bigger one, and what you're going to do is you're going to reach in here, and I don't know, hopefully you can see it, but you're going to reach in here and grab the edge of the actual tire. Got a little edge, and I'll show it to you in just a second once I get one side off. I'm going to use two of them. One of them kind of push down, the other one turn the other way to, whoop, don't grab the inner tube. To actually grab the actual edge of the tire. So. All right, and so that's what I was talking about. There's the edge of the tire, and I've got the spoon, turned opposite from whenever I was pushing down to grab the edge. So you just kind of keep working your way around the actual tire till you kind of get it all the way on one side. And hope I didn't grab the inner tube. Like I said, you just keep going around, grabbing a little bit at a time. Yeah. And usually once you get that first one, you kind of keep it and just kind of keep, swapping the two around so that you keep going around. So. Usually after you get about halfway around it, at least taking it off, you can usually slide it off and get the rest of them out. Let's see if I can do it without having to use the tire tool. All right, now that I've got, one side of it off, I'm actually going to go ahead and, take the actual inner tube out by loosening this nut right here and, pulling the inner tube out so that I don't have a worry about, messing up the inner tube. So let me get that out and we'll keep going. Okay. And what I'm going to actually do is, blow it up, make sure that whenever I made that first bite that I didn't grab it, because I was getting a little deeper than what I actually wanted to be. Alright, so once again I wanted to stop and say that if you're just having to get the tire off and get to this point to where you're replacing the inner tube and you're not actually replacing the tire, you can actually stop right here and put the new inner tube in, and then jump to toward the end of the video to where I'm actually putting the tire back on the rim, so you don't actually have to pull the entire tire off if you're just replacing the inner tube. Alright, so now that you got one side of it off, what you're going to do is actually set it back on in and kind of push one end of it in, and then I'm going to try my best to use the tire spoon to kind of reach in there and push it away from me, and kind of do that all the way around and get the tire out. So let's try this. This is kind of, trying as you go, I guess you could say. So you see how I kind of got it right, kind of wedged right there. And I kind of saw it when I went to push down like this, I kind of saw it start to pull off. So just keep kind of doing this little bit. And seeing if it will work. Yep. There we go. Woo, hello. And there you go. One tire off. Alright, so it's a little later in the day. I had to stop for a minute, or had to stop for a little bit because of the fact that the batteries on my GoPro were about to die, and so I had to get one of them at least kind of charged so that, I could keep going. One thing, whenever you're doing a tire, especially on a motorcycle, you want to make sure that you have the rotation right. And so on my rim, they've already got it marked where the rotation of the tire needs to be. And on the tire itself, let's see, there, right there, you can see where it shows the rotation as well, so that you have the, the grooves in the tire going in the right direction. So, all right, so the first thing I'm going to do before I put this on is, with the race cars and everything, we actually use soap on, you know, on the tire to help, you know, guide it on and everything. So that's what I'm going to do, is make sure I spray the down real good so that it, you know, kind of goes on there a little smoother. So when you're actually putting the tires back on, you know, the end that you use to grab it, you kind of go the same direction to kind of ease it around as you're going around the tire. So you can see right here where I kind of got it, you know, in here a little bit, and I'm going to use the lever of the tire to kind of help me, you know, get it around and everything. So let's keep on going around. And you see how I've kind of kept working it, and I got just a little bit more. And what I'm doing, like I said, is I'm just kind of going just a little bit and reaching in there, pulling it over till I get all the way around. All right. And so that's the one side of it. So before I continued on, I kind of wanted to check, make sure whenever I was putting it on here, I didn't get it backwards. But like I said, here's the arrow here on the rim, then here's the arrow here on the actual tire. So I know I got it going in the right direction. So the next part is, you know, of course, because this is inner tube, is to put the inner tube back in. And I did check the inner tube to make sure that when I took it off, I didn't actually puncture it, which is a good thing that I didn't. But let's get it back in there and go from there. As you see me putting the inner tube back into the tire, one tip I have for you, kind of like you do a air mattress, roll the inner tube up to get all the air out, and then put the valve core back into the valve stem. This will make this process so much easier, and also will help you whenever you're trying to guide the valve stem into the hole in the rim. Now I got to find the valve stem in there inside the tire, and then get it, into the valve stem hole, everything. And so I can kind of blow it up just a little bit so that I make sure the inner tube's not, rolled or anything real bad. All right, now that you got the inner tube in the tire and everything, standing up on end, and I just kind of was playing with this, and I actually figured out what part of this valve tool does that I didn't know about till a few minutes ago. I know what it's a 4-way tool, and I know what 2 of the sides are for, but I didn't realize what, this side here is for. I know what the other 2 sides are for, as far as, this is to take out your valve core, and, this is to, if you got a tubeless tire, you can use this to screw on, and, between the 2 of them, you can kind of pull your valve stem through, the rim and everything. But I didn't realize that this one you can actually use to screw into the inner tube till just a few minutes ago. So let's see if we can grab this inner tube with this and get the inner tube in. So you kind of got to, reach in here with it and kind of get the inner tube somewhat lined up with the hole in order to where you can put the tool in there. And all you do is, like I said, you just take it in and kind of, once you got it held, you kind of put it in there and screw it to the inside of it enough. Whoop, thought I had it. And then, voila, just like that. So I'm going to put my nut on here. just a little bit. All right, now that I got that done, I'm gonna get the air and I'm gonna kind of blow some air into it and just kind of make sure that I don't have, you know, the inner tube rolled or anything like that. So let me get the air and we'll keep on going. So what I'm doing is I'm actually putting the valve core back in so that, you know, whenever I can put just a little bit of air into it and make sure, you know, that I don't have the inner tube rolled or anything. So and may have already still have some air from whenever I took the tire out. All right, so it feels like I don't have it rolled, so I'm gonna go ahead and deflate all the air. All right, so what somebody was telling me is that these dots right here, if you put them on the side of the valve stem, then the tire should be pretty balanced. So let me spin it around and get the dot right here over next to where the valve stem is going to be, so that hopefully I don't have to go get the tire aligned. This tire does have some weights in it right here, and I think there's one also maybe on the actual spoke. I don't know, I have to look, and I have to get those off because I'm hoping that I can, you know, not have to go get these tires balanced. All right, as you can see, I got it pretty close, I think, to where it needs to be. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to spray it again with some soap right around the seal right here, and kind of like I did the back side, just kind of start working with it on one side and keep working around. But there's also another little thing that I know about that I saw that you need to do in order to help, you know, get the tire on. So let me get started on doing that. And also another thing on these tires, especially if you have an inner tube, you're going to have to kind of fill in there as you're putting the spoons in there, trying to make sure that you're not grabbing the inner tube at the same time, because that's kind of what I did whenever I actually put a new inner tube in this one. The first inner tube I got, I actually grabbed with the tire tool trying to get, you know, the tire back on, and so I had to take it all the way back apart and, you know, go get another inner tube. And so hopefully I don't do that this time. Like I said, as I'm reaching in there, I'm feeling around, making sure that I'm not grabbing the inner tube. Another thing you got to do is kind of put your knees, you know, kind of in there, because as you're working around, you're having to try to keep, you know, this down in order to get it all the way, you know, as much leverage as you can to push this over on the this side of the rim, because once you start getting from here to here, it starts getting really hard. And because I've got shorts on, I want to use a pair of gloves, or like I said, you can use any kind of thing you've got, but I'm kind of using this to kind of put a little cushion between my knees and, you know, the imprints, because like I said, this tire is pretty hard. All right, so I made another bite, and I actually moved my knees up a little closer so that, you know, it's, you know, kind of pushing this down and making a gap right here to give you a little bit more room to work on this side. gets harder as you keep going. And then when you get to here, you just kind of keep pushing down. Got one little spot. Got one little spot left. There it goes. All right, so now that we got the tire all the way back on, let's go ahead and put the valve core back in the valve stem and then air it up and hope that we didn't grab the inner tube anytime during this process. So wish me luck. And of course you're gonna have to put your nut all the way next to the rim to hold the valve stem back in the tire. All right, I've let it sit for a minute and I don't see, hear any air coming out, so I'm gonna go ahead and air it up. But I wanted to show you that I'm gonna put some more water and soap right here, because you see how there's a gap right here, and well, this other side's already sealed up, but so you're gonna want to put enough air in here to actually pop these on both sides to where it's kind of smooth, just like this is over here. So let me go ahead and put some more air in this tire, and then I'll make sure I don't have a gap right here anywhere around it, and then I'll get it to the right pressure. All right, and of course after you get the pressure right, you put the valve cap back on there, and then you're good to go. Like I was saying, you kind of make sure you have no gap anywhere around on both sides of your rim. That way you know that it's actually popped in place. And this is especially important on tubeless tires, because that's kind of what holds all your air in. All right, so I hope you enjoyed this video. Hope you enjoyed this how-to. Hopefully it made a lot of sense to y'all. Like I said, this is only like my second or third attempt at a how-to video, and you never know, I may, as I keep doing them, I may get better at it. But if you like this video, please give me a big thumbs up and subscribe down below. And comment, let me know what y'all think about this video. Tell me how you think I did on this video, and share it with some of your friends, somebody that you think may want to try to change their own motorcycle tire. Like I said, you can do it, and you saw the little bit of tools that I had. I mean, all I had really besides the valve tool was your spoons on your tire spoons, and that's all you need. It's not really require a machine or anything like that. So like I said, I appreciate everybody watching, and always take the same route, and I'll see you then.